Peter Jennings himself joins me now. Thank you very much for your time. Well, let's pick up on that last point. Why do you think that Hamas and the international community perhaps doesn't want Gaza to be modernised, perhaps wants to keep Palestinians suffering?
I think it's used as a way of attacking Israel, frankly, and it keeps alive an ideology which is never going to work. That's the from the river to the sea mentality, Sharri, that the Palestinian homeland is only going to be created when Israel is wiped off the face of the map and all the Jews are killed, and that's simply not going to happen. And the price that Palestinians pay for that ideology is that they and their children and their grandchildren are sort of locked permanently into this concept of being a refugee, never moving anywhere, only able to be pawns in a game which is being played by the United Nations, Hamas terrorist groups, Iran, and the sort of ideological left in the democracies, which has more fun doing that to attack Israel than they really are concerned about the lives of Palestinians.
Yeah, because we've seen they don't express the same concern over the lives of people who are killed in other parts of the world. There's silence, there's not protests on the streets. We've seen that over and over again. Peter, I want to ask you about what would motivate maybe Saudi Arabia or the Sunni Arab world to come on board here with Trump's vision. And is this partly because the greater enemy now is Iran?
So something that wasn't noticed too much, Sharri, in reporting Trump's comments about Gaza was that only the day before he signed a presidential directive into law saying that America was not going to accept Iran getting nuclear weapons. And there's a lot more detail to that, but really the effect of that direction is to significantly constrain Iran's ambitions as the prime funder, for example, of terrorism and anti-Israel behaviour in the Middle East. Now, I think that you've got to see that directive and Trump's comments on Gaza together. The thing that might motivate Saudi, Jordan, Egypt, Syria, a number of other Middle Eastern countries to at least entertain a new discussion about what to do about the Palestinians is if they can feel confident that Iran is not going to become a nuclear power and dominate the region. So it's the combination of those two things which I think is the really interesting factor here. And while everyone's criticising Trump in all sorts of historical ways, really what he's done is he's just opened up a new conversation. We can now work out, well, maybe there's a way forward that's better than just rinse and repeat, continuing the same cycle which has only led to violence, 5 attacks against Israel in 20 years. That cycle has to be broken. So I think we should be welcoming, highly unusual, but as always, that's what you get with Trump. At least it's a new way of trying to discuss a problem.
At least it's wanting to end the status quo because, from the Albanese government, all we heard was ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. I mean, if Netanyahu had listened to that, and of course he never would have, the Hamas leader would still be alive, the Hezbollah leader would still be alive, Israel would be in a much weakened state. Peter, I want to pick up on something else you wrote in your piece, which I thought was really fascinating and exposes actually the danger underneath this idea. You write how Palestinians are burdened by an ideology and this is driven by people outside who will never live in Gaza, that their children and grandchildren will forever be refugees, and that displacing Jews in Israel is the only solution to their plight, river to the sea. So this is actually a one-state solution, really, isn't it?
Yes, a one-state solution, and it's going to be the Hamas state. That's the ideology. Again, another reason why I think the Albanese government's position is intellectually bankrupt on the Gaza issue is that there is no Palestinian authority entity which is actually interested in negotiating a two-state solution with Israel right now. There have been a number of occasions when Israel would have been more than prepared to have that discussion, including, by the way, when they handed Gaza over to the Palestinians some 20-odd years ago. And that simply hasn't happened. And one has to ask, why is it that uniquely in the world, the Palestinians must be condemned to always be refugees when, the whole post-war experience, including most obviously with Jews, Sharri, was that refugees moved to new homeland and settled there. So, I'm not saying that means to say that Gaza and the West Bank can't in some way become part of a new Palestinian homeland. But maybe that's not enough. Maybe we need to think about other options that add land to that from Middle Eastern countries. That's partly what President Trump was talking about. And we break this idea that generations of people are condemned to be called refugees because the UN and other agencies insists that that's what they should be.